Hi, I'm Dr. Maria at Nature's Touch Naturopathic Clinic, and today I'm here to ask you a few questions, whether you feel any fatigue, or do you feel that you have some gas or bloating, or are there days where you have a lot of pain or even a headache, or are there days where you suffer from acne, or days where you have even some, asthma attacks or chronic colds and flus that you can't beat. So these are all related to possible food sensitivities that you might be suffering from. So when we look at food sensitivities in general, we have two main reactions that can come about after you consume particular foods. So the first one is what we call an IgE reaction to food. So this is very immediate. This is, for example, you drink a glass of milk and right away you're in the bathroom with diarrhea. So this is a very acute, immediate reaction, and this can result as something like a lactose intolerance. What I'm more interested in what's called an IgG reaction to food, because this is a delayed reaction to food over 24 to even 48 hours. So say, for example, you were to have a piece of banana this morning, might not feel it till tonight, tomorrow, even after tomorrow. So it can take those 2 or 3 days to present itself. And that's only for one food item. So let's say you had a banana, 2 or 3 times in a week, you could have those symptoms every single day potentially. And so these are the particular foods that I'm interested in because they can be affecting your health in many different ways. So here at Nature's Touch Naturopathic Clinic, I offer a particular blood test where you can test up to 120 foods and a little bit more if you wanted to your blood's reaction. And so Life Labs does it, which is just down the hall, which is great. And what they'll do is they'll test 120 of those foods to your blood and look at the response of those foods. So you go from having no reaction, which is basically foods that you can consume now every single day, to moderate or high. And the moderate or high foods are the foods that you would want to avoid over a period of time. So this could be up to a month, it could be 6 months, even up to a year. It all depends on how your body then responds to those particular foods and how quickly your body can recover from those foods. But if you picture day to day as if a flame is brewing inside of your stomach, if I go through a whole bunch of supplements at you to get rid of that flame, it's going to be almost impossible because that flame will just overpower everything. But in order to remove that flame, the best way that I've seen through my clinical practice is by removing those foods that come out to be moderate or high. Once we can have removed that flame, that's when that char area at the bottom has an opportunity to heal. And that's where me as a naturopathic doctor becomes important because that's where I then allowed to prescribe some of the supplements that can actually then heal that particular area, so that in a few months time when you do go back and add some of the moderate or high food sensitive items, your body should be much better reacting to those particular foods and not as reactive as it is currently. So many journal studies now are showing huge correlations between this IgG reaction and things like headaches, migraines, digestion, whether it's even things like ulcerative colitis or Crohn's, or even as simple as, an IBS or just gas and bloating, and even weight issues for many people. So what ends up happening with a lot of these foods items is that we create an imbalance between the amount of water that needs to be in your muscle cell versus your fat cell. So not only should you be doing the test to figure out the foods that are right for your body, but then what I'm able then to do is also create a plan for you where I allow the right amount of foods for your body. So then this is the perfect plan for most people because it's basically incorporating right foods and the right amount, which will give you the best weight success as well as the best success when we're looking at improving all of those signs and symptoms that people experience on a regular basis. And so that's what we do here at Nature's Touch Naturopathic Clinic because it gives one of the best base starts of where people need to go with their health. Because, food sensitive items is something I cannot predict. So by doing a blood test, we are able to just see clearly as opposed to doing even something like a hypoallergenic diet or an elimination diet, which becomes a little bit more regimented, a little bit more difficult for some people because you'll be avoiding a lot of foods as opposed to maybe 5 or 10 that might come up on a test. So by avoiding now those particular foods, and that's when we have an opportunity to now see an improvement in your symptoms. And then what we do is basically try to add some of those foods back in to see how your body's now responded to them. So some of them, some of the fruits and vegetables, you might be going back to eating them almost every day, but things like dairy or gluten that might come up as really high, those might be foods that you become still limited to, but you can still now eat them maybe once or twice a week as opposed to maybe every day of what you were normally doing. So, you're free to check out a lot of the information I have on my website at nature'stouchnd.ca, and you can also download my ebook, which is about the 10 wellness tips that I offer to basically begin your journey to wellness. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me at any time. Thank you. Thanks for listening. Bye bye.